So, welcome to the first episode of Creative Quest.
I'm Raven.
And I'm Faranir. And this is the podcast where we try to answer the question, can two creatives really break free from the 9-to-5 grind and find success in a more fulfilling creative life?
So, why we're doing this? We both listen to a lot of podcasts ranging from a very wide range of topics, but a lot of them are kind of motivation-based, a lot of them are inspiration-themed, and a lot of them come from a point of view where they are already knowledgeable and successful, which for many instances is very helpful because, you know, the advice is many times legit, it's coming from a good place. But also it's nice to know that people are struggling with you and that they understand the tribulations through trying to be successful as a creative. So the goal of this podcast is to kind of take you through a journey of not really having much of a base for transitioning into having a creative work life, and to show you the ups and downs of that, what does well, what does good, and just be very honest and real about it all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're really starting from ground zero here. We've had months of chaos in our personal life and our housing life with renovations going on that have kind of pushed back some of our plans.
Yeah.
But now we're really starting to knuckle down and get a focus on and get things moving.
Yeah.
And we've made some progress pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we like to kind of share that progress. And not only could that be interesting for people watching and listening, but it's kind of good just for us because it helps us, keeps us accountable, doesn't it?
I was going to say, it keeps us accountable. And a thing that I sort of add to that is that we have had so many delays for so many months that it got to kind of the start of this month and we both thought, what are we doing? Like, we're waiting for so many other things to happen that didn't have an end date, didn't have a duration on. And we were basing our kind of success and happiness and creativity on it, and so we thought, you know what, we're just going to make the best of this situation. I think a lot of people are in that boat in kind of creative industries. They're kind of always waiting for the next kind of go sign rather than being that go sign themselves. So, you know, things are by no means ideal, but we're going to make the best of it. We're going to make the most of it.
Exactly. Makes it more real because we're really starting from almost nothing here.
Yeah.
And I think the whole idea we've got in our heads for this is as we go through over, let's say, at least the next 12 months as a good jumping point, is we can really see where we started, what we've done along the way, what it took for us to get there, what worked, what didn't work. So people can probably get a lot of tips from that along the way. And it's going to be interesting to look back.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of people would argue that being successful as a creative is very hard to define because some people would look at what we have now and go, oh my god, you already have a setup that you can have, you know, 2 cameras, a computer, beefy enough to kind of do all the video editing, all that sort of thing. You know, if I look at myself a year ago, I would measure that as success. So, you know, there is such a broad spectrum to measure success on. So we're just going to kind of take it as it goes and just hope that within a year's time, let's just say a year for easy numbers, that we are in a better place than we are now, closer to our end goals.
Exactly. That's a pretty good goal. That's the vision. Anyway, let's
Yeah.
see how that pans out, shall we?
It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. Accountable. That's the good word. I like that.
Yeah.
So let's see how that works. So what we're going to cover in these episodes then. So we're going to look at progress updates on what we've been doing. So we'll talk through what we've tried this couple of weeks to see what's really worked, what hasn't worked, what progress we'll make. We'll get into the nitty gritty of some analytics and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
See what's really making a difference. And then we'll look at updates on new tech or services that have made life easier for us, because there's so many options these days already.
Anything to make life easier. Yeah.
Absolutely. We could all do that.
Yeah.
Shortcuts.
Yeah.
Let's take some shortcuts. Why not? If these new services are going to come out, we're going to give them a try, going to use them.
Real life cheat sheets.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I've always loved that line.
Yeah.
And we're going to really live up to that one.
It's true, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
And I think it's also important to mention as well, just before we speak about our type of creativity, that we both work in quite specific areas of being creative, but we want the kind of creative journey to be based on any creative job, whether you are an actor or a singer or a painter or, whatever it might be, that these creative problems happen to kind of the whole industry, anything that's kind of outside of the typical 9 to 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So while it really applies to what we're doing, we're hoping it will also be a lot broader and give lots of tips and advice and motivational encouragement for people just a little bit outside of what we're trying to do.
We're all in this together. All trying to go against the 9 to 5 capitalist grind.
Exactly. Like, it's just so soul destroying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we've really run to a point over the last 6 months, both of us, where it's become such a grind. That is the exact word. And it feels like no matter how much you do it, it doesn't get you any closer to what you're trying to achieve. It just makes you miserable. You have no free time to do any of the things you enjoy. You're just constantly at or thinking about work, and there's just no joy in it.
Yeah, and I think, we both, just briefly looking at like childhood job aspirations, we've both always wanted to work in some kind of creative role, and that has changed over time. We've both had some experience working in creative jobs, and we've both ended up getting stuck in more office-based kind of roles, and it's hard to get out of that. So it's going to be very much sort of trying to see how doable it is.
Absolutely. That's the fun part.
So, do you want to talk about your background? What you're currently doing now.
Yep.
What you're hoping to do as well.
Okay, I can do that. So I'm currently working as in a retail management role, and some days it's not so bad. Other days it's hellish, and the amount of stories I bring home of the grief I've suffered in a day. I could make a whole podcast just on those alone, and that would be probably quite entertaining. Maybe we could do that as like a follow-up show, actually. Fill in the gaps
we can do
if
like
we've got no updates for a while.
Yeah, like an after-hours show.
Yeah. My God. Yeah, you see some things, that's for sure. But I've always had a lot of creative intent behind me. But to pay for these lovely creative things and hobbies I have, which I'll get to in a moment, you need money. So you work the 9 to 5, or in my case, numerous shifts all over the place, so you can never plan or actually make any kind of routine for anything. But clearly got some pent-up resentment about that one. So positive, absolutely. So yeah, I got into the management role to keep the money rolling in, to fund my creative endeavors, and then I never had the free time to actually push and fulfill these creative endeavors. And it's just a vicious circle. You get trapped in it, and it's very hard after that.
Just lost the balance. First few paychecks, great, I can buy this, I can upgrade that, and then all of a sudden years go and you're like, those things that I got to do those things, at the time, like it's suddenly like you kind of wake up and you realize how shifted that balance has got, because it happens quickly and
really
suddenly
does. The work-life balance has just gone. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's a key part of something we're trying to fix here. Working in retail, so that's all fine. As for the interests and creative hobbies that I have, I've always been into music. I play guitar, I have bass guitars, keyboards, electric drum kits. I have so many things, so many instruments, so many gadgets, so many tools. I primarily love recording and mixing music. That's like my major passion that I spent years studying in that very little free time I could carve out. So I'm big into that. Over the last few years, I've really got into photography. I've made a massive push over that this last year. I've shot a few weddings. I've shot some extra things on the side. Fulfilled some personal creative interests with it. It's really, really enjoyable. Very expensive hobby though. Nobody quite warned me about that when I started getting into it. But it's fine. I enjoy spending every penny on that shiny new lens
I think the thing with that as well is that it's okay to invest in your hobbies as long as you're not needlessly investing in it. If you're being kind of reckless with the investments. I know that I for a very long time went through hobbies like one after the other. I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, I'm going to try this, and I would buy all the materials to do it 3 times and then not do it again. So I think you did enough practice with the base photography setup, and then after like at least a good year, then you were like, okay, now that I know I definitely like this,
it took me
I'm
a while.
I'm gonna invest in that.
That's it.
So even though it was very expensive, it's you're investing in your future. You know, and that sounds very gimmicky, but it is an investment into your future and creative outlets as well.
It really is. Yeah, I think reckless is a good word. I've tried really hard to avoid being reckless, and I find myself scrolling through all these websites and online stores and stuff. When I'm looking at like this lens that would be £800, I'm like, oh my god, I'd be crazy to buy that. And then I spend the next 3 weeks slowly talking myself into believing it would be worth it and a good idea. And I'll research every little thing about it before I take the plunge. And every time I've done it so far, I've come out thinking, wow, that was worth it. You know, I'm really worried about the day that I get one and I think, oh God, why did I do that? That was not
I think
worth
it's a
it.
bad investment.
But so far, all winners. So I'm doing good in that regard. So I've also got interests in content creation, video editing. A few years back during the pandemic, I started making loads of YouTube guitar videos and things like that, and I got really into that, which is where my first camera came from, actually. I bought a Canon camera to help me make videos for that. And it's all just kind of snowballed, you know. I've got all these different parts of skills now that are slowly coming together.
And they all kind of link together as
They
well.
do.
Like you pick up one thing and that kind of leans into another thing, and then you pick up that and that leans into another thing. It's kind of like a domino, really, isn't it? You pick up one of them and it's like suddenly, you know, you've got another 5 skill sets.
That's it. And before you know it, you're filming a podcast on a Saturday evening.
Yep.
So it takes you strange places, but once the ball's rolling,
I mean,
you just gotta go with it.
You know, that is the reality of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's the kind of skills that I'm bringing to the table. How about you? Tell us what you do.
So currently I am working an office job. I work primarily in marketing and graphic design. I've spent the last 3 years doing marketing apprenticeships. I did a digital marketing one and then a marketing executive one. And before then, I'd done various graphic design qualifications, that sort of thing. And I'd had a passion in design for a very long, like since I can remember, I've had a passion for graphic design. And that's how I actually ended up getting into marketing, is because the two kind of link together. And it was a way I could be analytical, but also have a creative side to that. And for the first, I'd say half of it, I loved it, really enjoyed it. You know, it was very fulfilling. It was always like working out a puzzle. But this past year has just been such a grind. And it's really highlighted the lack of creativity I've had in my life. I've always been a very creative person, always done painting and drawing and sculpting and just, you know, kind of every creative sort of art thing you can think of, I've at least tried it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. But sort of like creative skill set wise, I have a lot of interest in sort of like modeling content. So not like, you know, I don't know how you'd describe it. It's more like fantasy, making ideas come to life. It's very much that, you know, the kind of thing that you see in games when people do like cosplay, things like that. It's very much, that's the word for it, cosplay. It's very much mixing that kind of like bringing a character and a feeling and a vibe to life. Really, really love that. Still very big into my painting. I love watercolor painting. Still love graphic design when it's not for an office job. I still love doing that. And yeah, I'm hoping to try and get more into prop making. We've done a little bit of prop making over the past year for Comic Cons and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's funny when I try and describe my kind of creative skills, because I kind of like a bit of everything. Like if I just had the day to myself, I would, you know, every day free, I would do a bit of sculpting, I'd do painting, I'd do drawing, I'd do like, you know, live drawing stuff, just everything, you know. I can't even think of the whole list. So
too much to name.
Yeah, it's too much to name. But I just know that the current, like you said, the current work-life balance is just very, very off. And again, I did apprenticeships and I tried to get into day jobs that would fulfill me creatively through the day and allow me to do creative stuff in the evenings and weekends, but that just hasn't happened. And I know a lot of people working in that who do have that balance, but I sadly where I am just don't have that. And I think this year for both of us has been very difficult work-life balance, and has like I said, highlighted that inequality between it.
Definitely.
So we're both at a point now where we're just like, you know what, we need to make the change, we need to make it happen, don't care how. And there's actually like a really nice kind of, I'd say quote, I don't know, like a phrase where it's, you don't realize you're better off being in a bad situation than you are in an okay situation. And that whole thing is that if you're in a bad situation, you're able to go, this is terrible, I'm leaving because it's so bad. But if you're in an okay situation, you put up with slight bad behaviors instead of making that jump to something that could be amazing and incredible. And we're both in that at the moment. We've been in okay situations for a very long time where we've been like, well, it's okay because we can still get this, we still get that, like it's all right. We've very much
worse.
Yeah, we've justified it for a very long time, and we are just on the edge of this is bad. So we're now like we've recognized the problem and are moving towards finally kind of getting that creativity back.
Yeah.
I think is that a good summary? Is that everything?
That's a pretty good summary. And I'll come back to a quote that I always found as well when I was trying to, get through my YouTube videos and creative efforts through the pandemic and everything. It was, perfection is just procrastination in disguise. And I loved that quote because it was so true. I spent so long waiting for things to be perfect before I tried doing anything that I ended up doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much a trigger for us at the moment because, like we said, we've spent a while, just muddling through, waiting for things to get better. But not anymore.
We've had the setup to do many of the things that we're doing now since January, and this is now September. And the only reason we haven't done, we could say, oh, we haven't had much time, we've been busy, and I was a bit poorly at the beginning of the year. Yeah, those things have happened. That happens for everyone. But we've gone, oh, well, it'll be better next month because this won't be happening. And, oh, we'll do it next month because this will be happening. And actually, compared to January, it was bloody quiet then. I'm thinking of everything going on now, and I'm like, why on earth did we think it'd be better now?
It was so much better then.
January was so much quieter and calmer and more together. And, you can't always predict the things that are going to happen. No. And so you may as well just do it. Yep. Like, there's absolutely no point in waiting. And we've always known that, but this year has been like a slap in the face example of, what are you doing?
It really has.
It's really gone like, just get on with it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better. So then I suppose the next question is, where do we want to go? So we can set some kind of visions and goals for ourselves and plan out what we're hoping to make changes on and define success for ourselves. I think that's a key point.
Yeah.
Because success is very different for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I said that at the beginning that, I can say, you could argue that being successful is you being able to get up in the morning and brush your teeth. If you're having a really bad time and things are awful, you just getting up, making the bed in the morning. Yeah. That's the type of success, having the motivation to get up and go to work. I know these past, few weeks, you've struggled to get out of bed in the morning because it's just the dread of having to go back to work, so there's that kind of success. But then there's also, meeting goals and also setting realistic goals. I know in marketing, I'm sure you probably have it at work as well, you have SMART goals where it's like...
They love those.
Can you measure it? Is it time-based, relevant, realistic, measurable, all these things. Yeah. So, it's very much about, it's great to have really far, wonderful aspirations. And I think if you don't set challenging goals for yourself, sometimes you never have the ability to meet them. But also it's good to have some along the way that's, kind of fueling you to get to that end point. Some realistic goals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll put the question to you first then.
Okay.
How would you define your vision of success? Like 12 months from now, what would you like to be different from here starting today?
In 12 months' time, I would like my, first of all, work-life balance to be better. Now, that could happen in lots of ways. I could either quit my job and either go self-employed or just get a different, kind kind of contracted 9 to 5, or go part-time in my current position. 'Cause I think going part-time really would be the ideal, because I'd be able to keep a job that was reliable. You know, I knew what I was going to get with it, but also it would give me some of that time that it takes up back, even just to, like, you know, be able to rest between time, you know, not necessarily do something creative and astounding, just to catch up on everything going on. So I'd really like that balance to be better. And I'd really like us to be doing really well on Twitch, actually. We've been wanting to do Twitch for a very long time. I think, really, we could say since we met.
Probably.
Which was
It's
in...
come up a lot, hasn't it?
Middle of 2020, summer 2020. Pandemic relationship. Yay!
3 years as marked by this card here and this card here.
There.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I can't remember what I was saying now. You totally threw me off of that.
I totally did.
Doing this card here, this card here. No, what was I saying?
I've forgotten. Oh no.
That's got to be our first
actual
blooper. Edit. Because you've just totally...
I was going so slow.
With you singing...
Oh dear, I got too happy. What were you saying? You're saying...
Work-life balance.
Work-life
Twitch.
Balance. Yes, Twitch.
There we go.
Back on the train.
Yeah, I really... You know, I've always loved gaming. I've always loved that kind of side of kind of nerd culture, whatever you might call it. And I've just never really given myself enough time to invest into playing games. And we've started it. That's one thing that we'll kind of get more into in a minute. But we've started it, and so far, I've been really, really loving it. It's a creative outlet for me that doesn't suck resources. So I'm already often playing those games. So if I stream them and like just talk to people while streaming, like it's not draining. It's not huge amounts of work. It's kind of a middle ground between, I don't know, doing kind of work-based stuff and still doing something that's productive and enjoyable.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's a nice middle ground. What else would I like to have achieved by then? A year's time. I'd like to be doing more with cosplay. Again, that is something that I have wanted to be more serious about since I can remember, because my brother always did it, and he was 10 years older than me. So literally, since I can remember, I've wanted to do cosplay, and I have always put it off for one way or another. Space, resources, time, money, and you know, I can't keep excusing it. So to just do something more with that. I'm not going to set a specific thing, but just to allow myself to enjoy that more. I think that's a good one.
I think that's a good plan. You've made a good start this year.
Yeah,
so
I think
you've done very well, very quickly
this year has been the first year I've gone, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it well.
Yeah.
And if I don't, doesn't matter.
That's it. You've made some great investments.
And I've done fine so far. Have lost the Dremel within 2 days of owning it. Haven't used it myself.
I don't think I ever even saw it.
No. I bought a Dremel. I let my mum use it. In her defense, she did put it back in the box, and she did give it back to me. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, where did it go after that?
Where did it go after that?
Tune in next week to find out.
Yeah, so maybe we'll talk about what you want to achieve in a year's time, and I'll think if there's anything else, because it's hard. It's hard to think about, isn't it? What you want to do in a year's time. Yeah. I just know the biggest thing for me right now is that this grind has to stop. And I think that's something that people in these types of podcasts don't often speak about enough, is that it's like trying to do maths with a migraine. You cannot do it. It doesn't matter how you could do 2 + 2. If you've got a migraine, you try and do maths or read something, it's not happening. And people try and be creative when they are stuck in a kind of whirlwind grind that just overwhelms them with things going on, personal and work life related. And, you know, a lot of people make art based on their feelings, good or bad. But you can't enjoy being creative if you're in that grind, because it just consumes that mind, that space, that energy, the mental capacity, the physical capacity. It just wipes you out. You get home from your job and you're like, I had to go to bed, you know? And so that for me, like, you know, all those other things I mentioned, great, if I do it, fantastic. But that's the thing that, like, has to happen one way or another.
Definitely.
If I'm living in a cardboard box outside, it has to happen because
it's just too much.
It's too much. Yeah, definitely.
There have been days where I've spent my entire shift at work thinking, oh, I'd love to do this tonight when I get home. Oh, I'd love to work on this or start this project.
Me every day.
And I'll get myself so hyped up and ready to go.
Yep.
Then I'll get home, I'll sit down and
that's it. You've sat down.
And I'll just crash.
Yep.
You know, just
we very
totally
much
gone.
have a thing. I often meet you from work and we have a thing, like we'll bring the shopping in, put it down, and we will say, we're not sitting down until we've put this away and like talked about what we're doing this evening. Because once we've sat down, that's it. Put Netflix on. Yeah. And it's not even like, being lazy, chuck Netflix on. It's like, once your brain has spotted that moment of rest, it's like, we're staying here and you're resting. That's it. And that's going to be the rest of your evening. So, in a way, it's like, if your body's telling you to rest, you've got to do it sometimes. But in another way, it does prevent you from being able to do more, doesn't it?
It does. And I think, like you mentioned earlier, all these other, mindfulness podcasts and productivity things you listen to, they often advise either getting more sleep or less sleep. But it's so hard because if you get more sleep, you don't have time to do the things you need to do whilst working full time. And if you get less sleep because you're staying up all night trying to get them done, then you're just even more exhausted. Yeah. So there's just not enough hours. And also, in the day.
Say for you, for example, you have like back-to-back weird shifts. Sometimes you finish at 9 and then you've got a 7:30 start in the morning. Yeah. What are you meant to do with that day?
Those are the worst.
What are you meant to do? Because then you've got to sacrifice. You either go to bed late or you wake up early, and you've got to make the decision which one you're doing. Mm-hmm. And all these motivational podcasts, they don't factor in the time that it takes to cook every day and to shower and to sleep and to take the dog out and to clean the litter tray and just these things, to put the washing machine, to put it away. And it sounds very mundane when you say one thing at a time, but once you've kind of done all that life maintenance stuff, you're like,
what's left?
I'm looking at the time and it's like midnight. Like there's been a few nights past few weeks where we've gone, it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we haven't done anything. We've just done the very base essentials. We've not done a big fancy deep clean. We've not put the decorations out. We've just existed, and it's 1 a.m. And then you're like, well, 7:30 start. Better get to bed.
Go to bed.
So that leads into your wonderful early starts. What would you like to change in a year's time? Ideal world, everything goes well. What would you change?
At the very least, and this is the minimum. At the very least, and you already know what I'm going to say. I would like to at least go part-time with my job. At least. Like, I've toyed with the idea for a while, and at the moment, it's just not viable because, we've got to be responsible adults and save up for a house and do all this other stuff. So it's not feasible at the moment, as much as I would love it to be. So I'm hoping that at least in the next 12 months, I can make it possible to go part-time. And that will allow us to have some more guaranteed income, but also the free time to pursue all these other creative outlets that we'd like, and probably could well make a lot more money from if we just had the time to do them. So that's like my number one goal. Again, with you, I think I'm really enjoying the Twitch stuff we've been doing so far.
Yeah, I knew I'd like it, but I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I have done. And I've actually, every time I've been looking forward to doing it. Yeah. I've thought, like, I've gone to eat for it. I'm like, should we stream tonight? Should we stream? Should we? Like, and I didn't think that would happen. I thought, oh yeah, we'll chuck it on, but we're playing games. But I didn't think I'd actively look forward to it.
No, it's exciting.
Yeah, which is, it's nice to have. Again, it's been funny, these past few, I'd say this past month, we've made big moves to just get things going and to do what we want to do creatively. And so we've had lots of positive things happening, lots of, good new stuff. And then alongside all of that, we've had the negativity of our 9 to 5s, one way or another, whether something bad has happened at work or not. Just the fact that we've had to be in a grind for 9 to 5, even if on a good day,
That's it. Even on a good day, it's such a time.
It's really highlighted how happy we could be. And don't get me wrong, I did work part-time as a graphic designer, like self-employed freelance graphic designer. And it wasn't rainbow and sunshines and fun and every single day. It wasn't that at all. There were times where it was really difficult. There was times I didn't earn very much money. There were times I had lots of very difficult clients. I'm by no means saying that having a creative self-employed job is the fix for everything. But it does help if you're a creative person because, you're just able to enjoy yourself a bit more. And also it's it is hard making your hobbies into an income, because then how much of it is still your hobby, you know? I had that as well with paintings. I used to do pet portraits, loved it for the first year, 2 years maybe, and then I just suddenly on top the thing of it was, it was on top of everything else I was doing, and then I felt a pressure because I felt like I had to get it done by that certain point. You know, this person had paid for me to do it. Often with pet portraits, very sadly, it's people who are grieving their animals as well, so you can't mess around with them. You know, you've got to get it done. But it was overwhelming with everything else I was doing at the time, was work and education. So I think, you know, there's also a lot to be said about not making your hobbies a chore, but that it's still important to make sure that your job is fulfilling. And the thing that I always come back to is, you've got to work until you're minimum 65.
Mm-hmm.
And most people start from 16, 18 years old. That's a long time. And you don't want that whole time to be spent miserable, because by the end of it, you don't even get a good retirement pay anymore. Not to suddenly be all negative,
but you're not wrong.
You don't get amazing retirement pay. Your body, you know, is beginning to wear down a little bit. You don't want to wait until you're 60 to do something you enjoy. You know, if you try and it doesn't work, and you try for the next 50 years and it doesn't work, all right, do whatever comes your way. But I think there's a lot to be said for at least trying to get that balance. And there'll be years where we do have the balance, there'll be years we don't have the balance. But I think it's always good to try and aim it to be that side of things.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's definitely something to work towards, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd much rather know that I've at least tried, rather than in 30 years, 40 years from now going, well, I wish I'd tried doing something I actually enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, like we just said, we're looking back to only January. So, you know, January to September time. And we're already looking and going, we haven't done all these things, and we could have been doing them since then. And that's in 9 months. And we're already feeling that. And so I don't want that to be 9 years. 29 years, 39 years. I don't want to be 50 and go, why didn't I do this when I was 20? You know? So if everything goes to crap, okay, that's all right. But I then know that I've at least tried to make it better.
Exactly.
And I can at least have the knowledge that I did give it a go.
Perfect. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And now we've said that out loud, for people to actually hold us
Hold
to.
us accountable. I've been doing this on Twitch. I've been doing this on Twitch where I hadn't made any progress on my cosplay we've got a convention next month. Exactly a month today is going to be happening on. And I had done nothing since May. And every time we've streamed, I've said, I've still not done any of my cosplay, and I'm waiting for someone to go, hey, Raven, you said that yesterday, and the day before, and the week before. And so, you know, it's the way, because I'm realizing that I'm saying it every day. Yep. And so by us doing this, we're holding ourselves accountable and saying, we said we're going to do this, and so we're gonna do it. We've made a commitment now. We're making it public. We've said that we're going to do this. So now we have to.
If we don't, we're just going to look like idiots. So
I mean, you'd argue we already look like idiots.
Sad but true. No, I think that's a solid plan.
Yeah.
12 months.
12 months.
See what a difference we can make. Actually trying to make money from things that we enjoy.
Yeah.
Crazy thought. Other people do it.
That's the thing. And it goes very well with that. I've got a lot of family and a lot of friends who were creative as children. They did creative things in college. They got their first, 9-to-5 job in their early 20s, and they still did, they did painting at home and stuff. And then they just dropped all of it. And they dropped all of it because their work demanded they dropped all of it. Their family demanded they dropped all of it. Everything. Even it's very weird. There's a sort of childishness to creativity. If you say that you're a painter, if you say you're a full-time artist, people go, do you know what I mean? There's still
Definitely.
a weird stigma around creative jobs. I know I had that when I applied for college. I applied to do graphic design, fine art, maths, and physics, and the person went, what? Why are you doing that? And that was generally my split of interests was exactly that. And they almost said I couldn't do it. And I said, why? And they said, nobody can do academic and creative creative courses at the same time. That was genuinely what this is.
That's
like,
the stupidest thing
a
I've ever heard.
proper college me at 17, they said I couldn't do creative and academic things at the same time. And I feel like that is still the mindset for many businesses, families, people, whatever it might be, the general public. A lot of people still think that.
Yep.
And there is more than an opportunity to have a successful creative job. You know, we value academic measurements so much, but there is a whole lot to be said for creative jobs. You know, I think with everything is designed by someone. Every jar you open, all the headphones you have, the desk you sit at, the bedding you have, the clothes you wear, the shoes you wear, the paint on your walls, the color of your floorboards, all of it has been designed by someone. And so it's about time we give some credit to the creative people of this world.
Absolutely.
We're not getting enough. I want some validation.
The uprising begins.
Overhaul the academics. You know, a lot of people have like a split between the two, and they end up giving their creative side away because society makes it seem that they shouldn't value their creative side, which was what I was going to say. I know lots of people who have done that, and they've got to retirement, and they're miserable.
Yeah.
Genuinely miserable. They're in, like, you know, they're all like 30s to retirement, and they all hate it. And whenever they see me paint something, they go, "Oh, I wish I could still do that."
They do, don't they?
Why not?
Yeah, you get that a lot.
Yeah, why not?
Anytime I play guitar, people are like, "Oh, I wish I'd learned to do that."
Yeah,
like,
I wish
You
I
could have
still
made
played
time.
guitar. And it is hard with time, I must admit. You know, it's, especially when you've got a family, you've got kids, it is harder. But the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. You know, I've had this a lot recently. I've got problems with pay at my work, and I've switched my mindset. For so long, I was chasing that pay. I'm going to get it. And then it got to like August time, and I was like, actually, my most valuable currency is my health and my well-being. And so anything that's fulfilling that is what we should focus on, and not just, obviously a paycheck's important because you've got to pay for rent and food. You know, we've got to feed the cat. We've got, you know, all these things, all these trips we want to do, all the things we want to buy. You know, buying paper for painting. You know, you got to come from somewhere, but it's not the most important thing.
No.
It's important, but not the most important thing, because there's no point doing any of it if at the end of the day you feel crap about it.
Exactly.
You know, it's just not. At this point, I couldn't be paid to stay in that kind of uncomfortable situation.
That's it. Health first, always.
Yeah.
Mental and physical.
Yeah, mental and physical for sure.
Currently, our jobs ain't great for either.
Yeah,
so.
I sit down at a desk every day with my legs like bent over on themselves.
Yeah.
And drains me mentally, drains me. So
For sure.
yeah, anything that's getting us away from that, I think, is a positive thing to do. And I think everyone who is in that kind of job should do whatever they can to get away from it, because, you know,
That's
it's
it.
just no good, is it? It's no
Like-
good. And we normalise it.
We're not asking for much. We're not asking to make millions of pounds
No,
and, you know,
no.
instantly change our entire life forever.
No.
Anything dramatic like that. We just want enough to get by without, you know,
Yeah.
breaking our backs at
Yeah.
day jobs we hate all the time.
Again, with being realistic, is that if we made minimum wage in creative job, like if I quit today, you quit today, and we made minimum wage, paid for rent and food, and maybe a Comic Con a year, I'd be happy.
I'd be happy.
I'd be so happy.
I'd be so
I
much
wouldn't
happier.
care. You know, I wouldn't mind that at all. I don't want to make millions. If I make millions, great. But I don't.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to
if you're
that.
gonna give me,
Let's
if you
be
want to
clear
give me
there.
£1 million, like, here's my cash app. But you know, like, it's not important. It doesn't matter. There's no 6-figure goal. It's very much, I want to survive and thrive as a creative, and like, that's it. I don't want anything more than that. And that kind of ties in well to what we've had a lot since like summer this year, where we've talked to like friends and family about the current issues we're facing and where we want to be and why. And they've gone like, "Oh, but everyone has a hard job." And we're like, yeah, that's not okay. That's, what do you mean everyone's miserable in their jobs? Why?
That makes it
Why
worse.
are you normalizing that? And it's something we've really, like, I'd noticed it a bit before, but this year we've both gone like,
Oh yeah.
what?
It's happened a lot.
It's happened on a near daily basis, I would say. Someone in our lives has gone like, well, everyone has that. And, there are things that we will have to put up with sometimes. Everyone's job is terrible. And I always relate this back to looking after puppies, because puppies still make a lot of poop. And you got to clean that poop up. So even in the most lovey-dovey, cute situations, you still got to clean up poop sometimes. No job is, void of bad days. But no job should be made up solidly of bad days. And that's very much the situation we're in. And the situation that so many people around us are normalizing. And
it takes,
don't get it.
It takes up so much of your time every day. It needs to be something that you wake up and go, yeah, I don't mind going to work today. But I haven't felt that way for a long time.
I mean, I've got to say, this early last year and early this year, I loved my job. When I was finishing my diploma last year, that was rough. I was working until 2 a.m. Most days.
That was solid.
From June to December. That was hard. But the start of this year, me and my manager, we had so many wonderful plans. Loads of really creative plans. Loads of plans that fulfilled our interests, that built on our skills and our knowledge. We were doing lots of research, lots of personal development, and it was wonderful. I loved it. Every day I'd say to you, this is great. This is what we've done today. It's amazing,
Yeah.
And then it got to about May this year, and everything just got terrible. And to the point now where I'm like, I can't do it. I can't, because now I'm without going into it, I'm now at a point where that will not get better now. That's it. That bit's gone. So
that's it. Once you pass that line, your perspective completely changes.
Yeah.
And there's no going back, really.
Yeah.
So,
again, you're better off being in a bad situation than an okay situation.
Yeah.
Because that okay situation will hold you comfortably, and you'll go, oh well, at least I'm still getting paid. At least I'm still doing this. But no. If it's not fulfilling you, it's not okay. It's bad. It's already bad at that point.
Absolutely.
I grab you by the shoulders. It's bad.
Snap out of it.
Snap out of it. Wake up.
So here we are. That brings us to this point where we thought that doing this might be a good idea. Might be interesting and helpful for us as well as other people. So let's move a bit forwards then and take a look at what we really want to do when we keep saying, creative interests and whatnot. So as we've both pointed on a couple of times now, we've really enjoyed the Twitch streaming. We're hoping to do a lot more of that. Obviously, some people do really, really well with it, but I'd imagine not many compared to how many people actually do it. So a big thing we're going to be looking into is how hard is it to really make money doing that?
Yeah, how many viewers do you need to get X amount? Say, what's minimum wage here? 1,200 a month?
Probably something
around there. That's just for easy numbers. 1,200. How many viewers per whatever do we need to get that?
Yep.
And then times that by 2. One of us can quit. Who's going to be in the worst situation?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Well, I did it a minute ago and I won against you, so there you go.
Hey,
I'm going first.
That doesn't count.
I'm going first. But then double that, and then it kind of spirals from there. So it's looking not only at stats and watching them and seeing how they do, but what we would need to achieve in order to be able to survive on that.
Yep.
What would we consistently need to be getting, and ideally getting a little bit more for the months that do a little bit less good.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be one of the core focuses of what we're doing. I think, like we've said, we're both being into video games, but never have the time to play them. I've got a stack that's just grown. There's a camera. Grown up and up and up and up.
I mean, I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Those clear container boxes you use for storing stuff. Them, but one full of just games.
It's really sad.
And half of them probably haven't been played.
No, most of them have never even been opened. They're still in the wrap. And it makes me sad every time I see them.
Not because you don't want to play them, but because
it's just
work.
Because
work.
Yeah. So with the Twitch stuff, at least then we'll be able to play some games again that we've really wanted to play over the years and make something out of it at the same time. It's been really fun so far, building up a small community of people that have watched us, and we've had lovely chats with them as we've gone.
There's already a few people
surprisingly sociable.
Yeah, there's already been a few people who we recognise our names of, and again, we've been doing this 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think we're about 3 weeks in.
Yeah, so that's more than we expected. We thought we'd just be me and you for the next
talking
year.
to ourselves.
Like we didn't. But I think that's another thing is that we went into it with no expectations whatsoever. We've both watched Twitch a lot. We've both enjoyed it for a very, very long time. But we didn't go into it going, I must have 100 followers by the end of week 1 or else it hasn't done well.
Yeah.
We've left that success very open-ended and just gone, we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
It would be great if we can, like I said, have that income per month, figure out what that is, figure out what that is in terms of subscriptions, in terms of viewers, that sort of, background. But equally, if we don't get that and we get a $5 from it a month, that's still a $5 for playing games and a $5 for doing something that we enjoy, because we'd be doing that anyway. Exactly. It's time we get to spend together. That's another thing. We're both working away from each other every day, and we're one of those couples who do not like to be a meter apart. So, it's just anything from it is positive, really, which I think is what's been so enjoyable about it.
Yeah.
There's been days where we've only gained 1 follower, and I've gone, oh look, got the follower. And it's nice. It's rewarding. It's just something positive.
And I've really enjoyed watching that number of followers go up. I really have. It's been weirdly addictive.
Yeah, it's something, social media marketing. You watch those numbers, you do a lot of analytics work, you do a lot on email marketing, that's a bit very analytical based. And whenever you get one that does really well, it's like, oh, look at those numbers.
Yeah.
Look at those numbers going up. It's weirdly rewarding.
That's how you get your kick, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I know. That's the kind of person I am, with watching statistics all day, refreshing Google Analytics.
Brilliant. Never a dull moment in this house.
So, speaking about marketing, there's a thing that we like to call domino content.
Oh, yeah?
Which is, you make one piece of content and you use it for multiple things.
Ooh.
And it dominoes into stuff.
Tell us more.
Tell us more. It sounds fantastic. So, we've been doing Twitch, and it's very easy to also record that for YouTube. So we haven't begun uploading to YouTube yet. We've made the account. We've started editing a few videos. But it means that we're not recording every single stream we do, because sometimes we're just goofing around, chilling and stuff. Yeah. But anytime we start a game and do a playthrough or something, we've started doing all of that. And in addition to that, you've been making very clever clips that we can use on social media, which helps into the advertising side of that and posting things there, which actually was a thing that I didn't mention in things I want to achieve, is I want to have almost like an online journal, creative collection collage of all the things I want to do. I really love cooking. I really love fantasy things. I love cottagecore stuff and nature and my plants and my artwork, all those things. And I want to be able to have a platform where it is just that nice little cozy safe space. And so that Twitch stuff kind of ties into that of building an online place that has all those things that I enjoy in it. Because I've seen a few. I didn't really know that was a thing. I knew it was a thing because I work in marketing, but I didn't know it was a thing as in I could do it myself. I just never really thought about it. And then I found a few that were more in the kind of creative and fantasy side of things, rather than just I'm a model on the beach style thing. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. There's satisfying desk reveals where it's all matching stuff, and the little mechanical keyboard and the cute little cat headphones. And I was like, I've got all those things. I want to do that. So that's another thing I want to tie into that. It's not really important, but it's just it's like nice, a collage. Though. Yeah,
it's nice.
I'm looking at it as if it's a collage that I want to just have a space that's all the events and things that I like a little mood board.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so that's nice. That's another thing with going back to the sort of Twitch and YouTube and stuff. It kind of all links dominoes together with wonderful domino content.
Love that.
So yeah, and then that also is saving us time.
Yep.
Because we're not constantly trying to juggle everything and do new things. Obviously, we have to edit it separately. That is more work, but at least we're not doing it twice.
Yep.
We've made the content once, edit it once, pop it online.
And the best bit is we enjoy making it. I enjoy editing it. it's a
That's
win-win.
the other thing.
It's enjoyable.
So with Twitch, we've been
Crazy
making
thought.
like the overlays for all of it. So you've done all the technical malarkey because I don't get it. I am a registered IT technician. Don't deserve it. I'm gonna be honest about that. I shouldn't
Fraud.
have it. I shouldn't. No,
Take the badge back.
You get it for doing the digital marketing diploma because you cover briefly coding. Don't ask me what coding is. I don't know. I know HTML. I know HTML to make text bold. That's it. So I shouldn't have it, but I do. However, you do all the tech stuff. I know far more than me. We've got an audio thing on the desk. I know that it's got nice, pretty buttons on it.
I just tell you to press the red one.
Normally you say don't press the red button. In this case, it is the red button.
Just to confuse you even more.
So yeah, you've been setting up all the techie side of things, which if you want to, you can go more into in a minute. And I've been doing all the like overlays for like starting streaming soon. Be right back. Thank you for watching. That kind of stuff.
You've done a great job with those. They're
I've
really
loved
fun.
it. I've really, really loved it. I find it so enjoyable. Yeah. I've done a few changes to them whilst you've been out of work, and I've been like, I can't wait to show you this when you get home.
You're in your element.
Then you've loved it. So it's funny because it's not far off what I do in a day job, but it's the motive behind it. It's the freedom behind it as well. It's not always working to a brief. It's doing whatever we want to do that day. Yeah. Which I think is very, very important.
Yep, definitely. It's freedom. It's rewarding. Just feels good, Feels good. Like, it takes energy and time, but it's worth it. It feels nice. It feels like you've accomplished something, like you've created something. And that's what we're here for, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
To enjoy ourselves creating things and, get something for it in the end.
Gives you a little happy buzz to make something.
Warm, shivery feeling. It's nice. Yep, absolutely. I think we'll save our lovely hardware chat and stuff for next time.
I think so.
Because we're already chatting quite a bit at this point. So we can save that for the next episode because that's a good jumping off point.
Yeah.
So I think for now, we'll quickly touch on some issues we found so far. Big one being mortgage concerns.
Yeah. So this was something very important to both me and Faranir when discussing the idea of podcasts. Funnily enough, I mentioned it to him and you'd already been thinking about it, so that was nice. But we wanted to be very realistic about the downsides of all of this. That it isn't just really easy and straightforward, and there are lots of negatives. And the first biggest one for us right now is mortgages. So we live in my mum's house, my childhood home. She doesn't live with us, just me and him here. Thank God.
And the cat.
And the cat, of course. And the cat.
One day you'll meet him. You're gonna love him.
He owns the house, really. But here, I don't know for everywhere else, but I'm just saying here in the UK, to get a mortgage, you have to either be on contracted employment out of probation period, or you have to have been self-employed for 3 years.
I think that's what it said.
I think it was 3
years.
It's been a lot recently.
Don't quote us on that.
So we can't quit our jobs today because we are this close to getting a house. And once we've got the house, it opens up so many doors. I cannot begin to tell you. I cannot begin to tell you the plans that we have. Maybe that'll be an episode one day, would be the creative plans we have for our house. But we are so close to getting it that it would be maddening to quit our jobs now and then be able to get one next month. So we've set a rough deadline of if we haven't been able to get one by spring, we're going to look at going part-time. But obviously being part-time means that our income is reduced, and so then the amount we can borrow and the mortgages we can access are reduced, and that opens us into the self-employed route where we have to be self-employed for the 3 years, and then us buying a house is delayed by 3 years instead of just a few months. So it's a very difficult situation to be in. It's a reason that a lot of people don't end up going self-employed and following these creative routes unless they can find it in employment, which is what I had tried to do to kind of avoid that. And you know, for you, like, there are photography agencies, there are places you can go to do audio engineering, there are apprenticeships, which is what I did. You know, there's so many outlets for that. We are actively looking at those as a backup plan by, you know, every means possible. We're looking at all of our options, but that is the biggest reason we haven't quit our jobs yet, is because of the mortgage, which is a very A very sad, very adult problem to be having. I don't want it. I don't like it. But it's just the reality of things. The current house that we are living in doesn't benefit our creativity.
It's a very diplomatic way to say that.
I will say that. It's fine. It's a roof. That's okay. It's a house. It's a home to an extent. But it doesn't help our creativity. We're currently in one room due to building work. We'll go into that another time. But so it means that our priority, ironically, alongside escaping the grind, is to get the house. Once we have the mortgage, as long as we meet the mortgage repayments, we can do whatever we want. We can quit our jobs the day after it's all gone through, paperwork signed. Don't do it before the paperwork's signed, for goodness sake.
No, absolutely not.
But then as long as we are earning, say, just for ease of numbers, the mortgage is £100 a month. If we got the £100, that would be all we'd need. So that's the biggest problem that we have with that, which is it's very frustrating. There's not a lot we can do about it. If you have listened to the news lately, you'd know that interest rates and all that wonderful, boring crap that we're trying to avoid here is an absolute shit show.
It's never been worse.
It's never been worse.
Worse.
Well, probably has been, but in our lifetimes.
Not in our time, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say in our lifetimes.
Ouch.
And then again, in 2008, all the things crashed, didn't they?
Yeah, that was.
Don't know the details of that. I was 8 years old. No, 9 years old. Sorry, I'll give me some credit there. For goodness sake.
Oh my God.
But it's we want to be very real about being creative in jobs, in work, and fulfilling our goals. And that is a very real life block which we can't get around. No amount of even if we could earn unless we could earn enough that we could buy a house outright today, we can't do it. We would have to be earning enough that we could buy it outright, which is not going to be happening anytime soon. Very sadly. I mean, maybe it might. You never know. You got to put those manifestations out in the air, don't you? If someone wants to buy us a house,
could get lucky.
I wouldn't say no. But again, being realistic, we would have to. Pretty much anyone these days buying a house has to get a mortgage, and mortgages require employment and constant funds, and it's understandable that they ask people to be self-employed for that amount of time to ensure that you can pay it back. It's
hard when you don't have the guaranteed income.
Yeah,
isn't it,
yeah.
really?
We're not angry about it. We understand it, but it's just that is
something to work around.
Yeah, it's
mindful of.
a lot of workarounds. A lot of problems we can work around. This we can't, and there's no change for it. It's not going to be changing. We have to change to it. And there sometimes will be things, of varying seriousness that we have to change around. And, that's okay. As frustrating as it is, it's okay. But it's important to acknowledge that it's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Another key point is things that we may do or mention over the course of this podcast may well not be the best thing you can do. This is very much a journey for us as well as you guys. So we're going to tell you what we've tried, what's worked for us, what we've seen success with, as well as what hasn't worked. But that doesn't mean it will or won't work for you as well. And that's kind of the whole point. This is very much going to be a journey of learning to show what can be done and how we can really make these changes.
Yeah, a lot of podcasts that we've listened to are very much like follow these 5 steps and you'll be earning 6 figures in a year. And some of them I agree with, and other ones I'm like, no, you're in a bubble. You're on a bubble of unrealistic life expectations. It's just not doable for the average person, which we are. And so what works for me will not always work for you, and vice versa. And again, like we said at the beginning, we're both in quite different creative industries. We have a lot of overlaps, but we have also I've got no interest in audio engineering. Happy to listen to you talk about it, but I don't want to do it myself. I've got absolutely no interest in doing that myself. And so things that Faranir are doing, I'm not going to do, because that's not the route I want to go down. Or even if it was for something I want to do, it might just not work because I'm me, and vice versa. So by no means take our angle of doing things as gospel.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what we're doing, and that is the takeaway from all of this is we don't know what we're doing, and so we're just going to try things and hope they work. because so many of us don't know what we're doing, and we all pretend like we do, and we, you know, there's this whole social media bubble where we all post the success and we don't go, I've had a shit week. We, you know, how often do you see creative? There is a shift towards, I've got to say, there is a big shift towards being more open about it. But, you know, you don't see, I've had a terrible week and therefore I've not done anything to fulfill my creativity.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right. I feel sorry for you. I'm sad. But it's okay. You know, so what works for us will not always work for you. Hopefully it does. That'd be great. But we don't know what we're doing. And we're hoping through this journey, we will learn what we're doing. We'll have an idea of what is and isn't doing well. We're going to be the guinea pigs.
Guinea pig. That's it. That's exactly what we're going to be.
Yeah, that should have been the name.
Why didn't we work that into the
creative guinea pigs.
Oh, damn it.
But yeah, it's you know, that could be our mascot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, little guinea pig.
Let's go with that.
Don't know if I can draw a guinea pig. We'll see. There we go. That's another creative challenge. Draw a guinea pig. So yeah, it's just we're going to be very positive about this. I think is the
I think so. Yeah, I feel good about it. It's going to be a journey, a ride,
a quest.
I can't wait. A quest.
A quest. A creative.
There it is.
Quest.
A creative quest. That's us.
Yeah.
Happy days. So I think we're aiming to check in every couple of weeks or so. I think so.
Yeah, we and ahed about this, and we want to be adding some form of value in each episode, even if that value is to say everything has gone wrong. There is essentially still value in that because you learn from your mistakes. So we want to have enough of a gap that there are things to talk about. There are changes, updates, things like that. But also not too close of a gap where we are causing more work for ourselves and preventing, you know, this grind we are trying to get out of by making ourselves do more than we have time for. So we're going to aim for 2 weeks.
Yep.
That might change. It might be every week if things are happening really fast. It might be once a month. It may vary, but we're gonna aim for 2 weeks.
That's the plan. That's the plan. That's it.
And I think next episode, this very much is an introduction episode, so I'm sorry if it has ranted and rambled a little bit, but we thought it was important to kind of give context and background to the situation.
Absolutely.
And then from next time onwards, hopefully, might change, I don't know, we'll talk a bit more about our current setup and things, what we're doing, and give more kind of measurable success things. So we'll say how we've done on Twitch. How many followers do we have on Twitch as of today?
236, I think, when I last checked.
I'm gonna very, very quickly open Twitch.
I've got a good feeling about that one.
238.
Hey,
so
we've had more.
We can check in 2 weeks' time. And also, just for consistency, we aren't going to be name dropping any of our businesses and interests and names of stuff. And the reason for that is that it'd be great if people wanted to support us through this podcast, but we want the measurement of the success to be organically through our efforts. If we said, hey, go follow this, and everyone went, then the next time we check in, it wouldn't be based on our efforts in that. This podcast is very much a journal. It is not going to be an angle to drag people into what else we're doing. If it ends up being like that and it's unavoidable, then, you know, that's okay. But we don't want to start with being like, go follow all these things. You know, we very much want it to be like a journal. I think it's probably the best. A notepad, a commentary.
Definitely.
That sort of thing.
Dear Diary.
Dear Diary.
Over the last 2 weeks, we've gained 3 more followers.
Yeah. So, you know, it's I think, is that probably the best way to put it?
I think so, yeah. I agree with that, 100%. Definitely. That's definitely how I look at it.
Yeah, we want it to run alongside everything because otherwise it ends up skewing the success and the analytics we have. You know, if we get sort of unfair, quick raises on everything, it's no longer based on the efforts we've put in, just in those areas. And maybe it might be, but we wouldn't know where that success has come from. As if we don't link it, we can know where that success has come from. It's been from advertising on this channel. It's been sharing it here. It's been this new helpful tool or trick or this new workflow or whatever it might be. We can put it down to that. I think more 100%. Helpful. More helpful.
Definitely. That's the way to go. So yeah, we'll be back with the next episode to discuss all the things we've started up so far. We'll get into some nitty-gritty about hardware and software, what we've set up already, how everything's worked, our trials with setting up new accounts and things like that to get everything ready.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we're good.
And maybe introduce you to the cat.
Oh yeah, hopefully introduce you to the cat.
If people are listening, we are going to have to get a meow from him. Visually, it'll be fine.
Yeah. This will also be on the YouTube channel.
Audible front, we should probably give him a little nudge, give him a little squeeze.
I'll record him and make a little sample and put it on one of these pads here.
Oh, can we do that?
We can.
Actually,
that's something I've learned how to do recently. So there we go.
There we go.
It's all coming together already.
Next time, you can hold us accountable for this now. Next time, we've got to have one of Joe's meows on there.
Oh,
and if not, it's going to be trouble.
That's it.
It's going to be trouble.
First promise. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us. We really hope you enjoy us next time for the ride moving forward.
Yes, thank you for listening to the first episode of Creative Quest. Exciting.
Happy days. Thank you very much.